document of continuity. This puppy right here. Let me explain how we get to this point, and let me explain some of the benefits to it and why I'm doing it, why I'm having to fill out this document of continuity for my MMC. So here's a little tidbit for you SIU guys that everyone told me when I was in the program, after I got out of the program, being on the ships. They were like, oh, you got your Tankerman assistant. Yeah, you gotta do that before the 5 years is up. So here it is. To keep your Tankerman assistant DL and LG, which is liquefied gas and whatever, you need 5 loads and 5 discharges. And then you take those and then you send them in with your renewal to keep your Tankerman assistant going. Well, I haven't got those. Now, as you know, if you've been watching the channel, I just did my Merchant Mariner Credential renewal because it's expiring here in the next 2 months. I filled it out almost 2 months ago now, and I'm finally getting to this point of moving into the process again. But yeah, I did my renewal. I made the video on getting your MMC because it's practically the same process, except for me, I have all my credentials. So in the MMC application, there's a little box where you list all your credentials that you want to keep in your MMC. And I did that. And I listed my Tankerman Assistant DL and Tankerman Assistant LG because I was told in the program, and I was told out of the program by veteran sailors on the ships, that when you get your Tankerman, it's good for 5 years. That is false. I've now learned. I was just on the phone with the National Maritime Center, making sure I was going to do all this right on this document of continuity. Your Tankerman Assistant is only good, it expires when your credentials expire. Your Merchant Mariner credentials. Everything in your MMC book expires when that book expires. So when they say, when the union and all the seasoned sailors were saying that Tankerman Assistant was good for 5 years, it's not. It's good until your credentials expire. So for me, I had got my MMC because I did it backwards, where the SIU apprenticeship program says apply in to the program in like process 1, and then in process 2, that's when you get your credentials and everything. That's not what I did. I had got my credentials, my TWIC, my passport. I had gotten everything before ever applying into the program because I didn't know about the program. I was just trying to become a sailor, find a job with my MMC. So I had got that stuff first and then applied into the program. So, excuse me, my credentials already had about a year and a half on them before going into the program. And then after getting out of the program, my Tankerman therefore only had about 3.5 years left on it because my credentials expire in 5 years. My MMC, my actual MMC book expired in 5 years. So there's the big thing. Tankerman Assistant does not last 5 years. It lasts up until your MMC expires, which if you get your Tankerman Assistant the same day you get your MMC, then yeah, it's good for 5 years because your MMC is good for 5 years. But if you've already had your MMC for 4 years and you get your Tankerman, you know, at the end of the 4th year, but you don't get on a tanker in that year, then you wasted taking that class because you need those 5 loads and discharges to do the renewal to keep your Tankerman going. So, henceforth to the point now. I've been in this process of the renewal and I've been checking. They give you a little link where you can put your Mariner reference number and your application ID and check on the pending status of your application. I kept going there and it was saying awaiting information and said that they sent me a letter. Well, I hadn't got the letter until now. Basically the letter is saying either provide the information, the 5 loads and discharges, or fill out a document of continuity. Now, what this document of continuity is basically, I don't have what it takes for the Tankerman assistant. I don't have my 5 loads and discharges. So over here, you got 3 different boxes. You have check here if you would like to have all your credentials placed in continuity. Now, you would do that if you want to place your entire book, your entire MMC, basically on hold. Now, here is what this means. So, say something happens in the family, say you're settling down, say, you know, say you broke a leg and you can't sail and you're coming up on your renewal for your MMC. Now, you're coming up for your renewal and you have to do your physical, but you got a broken leg. So obviously you're gonna fail the physical, you won't be able to do your renewal. Now, if you do check here, if you would like to have all your credentials placed in continuity, it's basically putting your credentials on hold. So whether you broke a leg or whether you want to take a 5-year break or a couple-year break from sailing, you can put your entire book in continuity, and therefore when it comes to you going out to sail again, you don't have to, you're still gonna have to do your physical, your drug test and all the stuff to do it, but your credentials don't just disappear. Like if you let them expire, then they're expired and you have to redo the whole process. Putting them in continuity basically keeps you in the system. It keeps all your credentials that you had in the system. Therefore, when you go to reapply or when you go to renew your MMC, all you gotta do is provide all the research classes, research certificates for the classes. Instead of taking the entire class, you can do a research class, which basically instead of a week or 2, it's 2 to 3 days or 5 days, you know, and you do a research, and then you could bring those certificates for your renewal instead of completely redoing everything. I hope that's making sense. So that's if you want to put all your credentials in continuity. It basically just puts it on hold instead of them fully, they still expire. Okay, don't get me wrong, they still expire. It just keeps all your credentials in the system. That way when you go to renew them, they still have all the information. I'm doing this box. Check here if you would like to have some of your credentials placed in continuity. I'm putting, and then list all credentials to be placed in continuity. I'm putting my Tankerman, LG, Tankerman Assistant, DL. I'm putting those in the box here. And basically, now what I'm gonna have to do is it puts it in the box, and I won't be able to sail on my Tankerman Assistant until, oh, my battery's gonna die, until basically I retake the classes, and then once I get those certifications again, I could send them in, and then they can reprint me my certifications. The last box is check here if you would like to have your canceled credentials returned to you. That's if you're giving up on the continuity, giving up on sailing, and you just want to use your last bit of, you know, memory sake or whatever, if you want to keep your credentials. The last part here is when you go to fill out your renewal, you can check a box that says start your new book at the end date of your old book. Okay, I don't remember if I checked that or not, but if you check that, you can still use your old book up until the last day. So for me, I still have 2 months of my old book left. So I could technically still get on a tanker because my old book has my Tankerman Assistant. Now, there's another box when you're filling out your renewal that if you check it, you say, basically make this book active the day I get it, which then would cancel out your old book. So what's the point in that? You might as well just check the box that says make my new book active at the expiration of my old book, because then you sail with your old book. You just have to carry both books. You sail with your old book up until the very last day that it expires, and then you put it in your backpack and you start using your new book. And in that case, then if you have, like me, a Tankerman assistant on your old book and you have 2 months left, you can go in, like me, I could go in, get on Tankerman in this last 2 months that my credentials are valid. I could get my 5 loads and 5 discharges, send that discharge paperwork into the Coast Guard, and then they can send me my new credentials from my Tankerman assistant and put it in my new book. I hope that made sense. My battery's dying. Hit that subscribe button, like, share, comment. I hope this was helpful. I'm out.